I realised hit the button. Excuse my pedestrian approach. I guess what I wanted to reveal here is that I actually engaged in a fairly long-winded process with the discussion forum using rubrics, which I thought at the time would be efficacious. However, when it came to the exam, the students avoided the issue altogether. Would anyone like to get a comment about that? What did I do wrong?
Again, I'm not sure what you mean, James. The students avoided the issue altogether. They ignored the rubric.
Oh, no. The rubrics were in place, and my colleagues and I used them, thinking that we're doing the right thing, and that we're preparing students to be able to, in a summative way, demonstrate that they actually had command of the subject matter, and were able to be responsive in an exam, under exam conditions. Basically avoided that question. They went for other things. I think I had about maybe 20% of the students that actually responded to the topic even in the exam, and that really threw me. I thought, well, we did all this work during the term, then why? Why did they avoid it?
Boy, interesting indeed. Yeah, I must say I don't know is the short answer, James. But that is interesting if they're avoiding questions that they were meant to learn through online writing. Maybe it's indicative that they felt they hadn't learned much through the online method compared to the traditional method.
Yeah, that'd be my first hunch as well. But I guess from a teaching practice point of view, you always have to ask yourself why. Why are they responding like this when you expected certain things to happen? So in some ways I feel as though I've learned a lot from the experience. I still feel I'm still very much at the drawing board.
Yeah, I think we all are, yeah.
Sorry, Bobby. I think one of the things we all have to be careful of is to just keep remembering that students are going to be very strategic when it comes to summative assessment. And they're going to look at how many marks, how much effort, what impact it's going to have on their overall grade. And I think students make strategic decisions when it comes to any of the summative assessment tasks that we set them. And so one of the things I think we need to really think about is, how many marks do we associate with particular activities, and what message are we sending to students about that? Students aren't going to spend a lot of effort on something even if it does improve their learning, and even if it does have fantastic learning outcomes for them, if there's not appropriate weighting and grading associated with that, they'll just make a strategic decision about where they're going to spend their time.
One of my other findings, Jeff and James, is that whatever you put in the rubric, and assuming you provide the rubric to the students, which is good practice, then the students will play the game of satisfying the rubric. So the rubric has to be good, or the students will do exactly what needs to be done in order to maximize their marks.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point for all of us to remember, that if we ask students to jump a certain height, they'll jump it. They won't necessarily jump any higher than that. So you have to think about how high you set the bar.
And criteria, and the rubrics were littered with criteria like makes 3 contributions per week. Well, can you imagine the quality of those contributions?
Yes, some very good points. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, any other comments that people would like to make? Yeah, James, James Bottom, that's an interesting point, and I think a lot of academics do get a little bit disappointed sometimes because for us, as teachers and academics and researchers, this is our life, and we kind of wonder why other people don't want to do the same sorts of things that we do. But I think we do have to be realistic, and for many students, they their education, no matter what level it is, doesn't matter whether it's school or further or higher education. I mean, that's only part of their life. They have other things, and they're going to spend their time doing those other things. So I don't want to say it's not important, but I do think we need to be realistic just about the diversity in the student population in terms of what they want to get out of their time with us. James, welcome. Do you want to take the mic?
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with that diversity comment. You often gravitate towards those students who are really interested in the things that you're teaching, and they're the ones that inspire you to keep on doing the job and to pass on that knowledge that you've gained. And I just wish there were ways to actually expand that enthusiasm across a wider cross-section of the students.
James Cullen, do you want to come on now?
Yeah, I agree with my namesake is saying as well. I'm just wondering at this juncture whether in some ways we may be expecting too much of the medium, and that maybe in time we'll actually find that we can only afford so much, or rather we can only relegate just a level of involvement and development via this medium, and that really the old face-to-face is the only way to really inspire people to bond to a subject matter.
Bobby, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah. I really don't agree. I've just finished a master's entirely online. We didn't actually even meet once. And there was tremendous passion and commitment among, admittedly, people, professional people in employment, and we know that they are more committed. But nonetheless, there was tremendous passion and commitment through that course. So it can be done, but the medium can certainly be a barrier to that for sure. See the other comment I would make about, rewarding participation or effort and continuous assessment. There is a gender dimension to that because international research has shown that women participate more and boys tend to put more effort in towards the end of the course. So that could be a double whammy for male students where you reward participation or you reward effort plus you have continuous assessment. That really could do that. That could be a double whammy for the boys in your class.
Well, I'm encouraged at least by your recent experiences, Bobby, and I'll just I'll just hang my judgment in terms of how far we actually get down with using discussion forums. But I guess one point I'd like to make. I suffered extensively under the workload constraints that were mentioned earlier. That really does tend to be a disincentive at times.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a major problem. Absolutely.
Actually, it just made me think, Bobby, that maybe we should have a webinar on assessment and gender, because I think that might be an interesting topic.
Yeah, sure could. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've certainly discovered that some of the practice in rubrics seems to be not in boys, not in men's favour.
Okay, any other comments from people?